Among the sectors that have been adversely hit is the education sector, where we belong.
Uganda's education sector has been affected by COVID-19 after suffering 2 years of lockdown.
And the impact we are looking at mostly is the consequence of the first lockdown.
There was prolonged stay at home, and that prolonged stay affected them in different ways.
The National Examinations Board, UNEB, through the National Assessment of Progress in Education, say the effect of COVID-19 is irreparable.
So the objectives for this study. What we want to do is we went out to do this study in order to find out what gaps exist in what the children know and what they can do. Compare that to what was possible previous to the pandemic and immediately after they were allowed to go back to school. So we wanted to find out what gaps are there that exist.
The survey indicates that at least 55% of primary and 72% of secondary learners have been affected by either child labor, domestic violence, or sexual exposure by relatives and other community members, resulting into unwanted pregnancies.
Given that the stability of education in this country has been threatened or is under threat, this study became a priority.
Forced early marriages, inadequate parental support, kidnaps and arrests by police were also recorded by the survey.
However, it was not known at that time, like the director said, how much these groups were affected.
The survey also shows that during the lockdown, in almost 2/3 of about 66.5% of the 269 primary schools, P6 learners reported having had access to studies, whereas at secondary level, 55.4% of scholars at senior free level from 8 free institutions sampled were also able to access studying during the lockdown.
COVID-19 has, on the other hand, opened our eyes. Trusting the need to embrace e-learning.
10% of the P6 and 13% of senior free learners did not report back to school for candidate classes. The report also shows that boys who didn't show up for candidate classes are from rural areas, represented by 11.3%, whereas 1.9% are from urban setting.
What really needs to happen is that the teachers need to be refreshed. So what is actually going on now is that the ministry has embarked on refreshing the teachers. And once the teachers are refreshed, the children, they just get them on board.
The launch was presided over by Professor Lutalo Bosa, who represented the State Minister for Higher Education, John Chrysostom Muyingo, at an event held in Kampala this Tuesday. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Mr. Opamani Amos.